You are living the last normal moment of your entire life. You do not know that yet, and that is the cruelest part. The compound is dark, and the warm Pakistani night air is still. Everything looks exactly the same as every other quiet night here. The secret is the man sleeping 2 floors above your head. The most wanted human being on the face of this earth. In 11 minutes, the most powerful military force will arrive here. But right now, you are just a man at a dark window. You arrived here with one instruction that had only 2 words. That instruction was 2 words. Ask nothing, tell nothing. You have honored those 2 words every single day since arriving. Your family in Rawalpindi thinks you are working construction in Karachi. Your mother prays for you every morning before the sun rises. She does not know what she is actually praying you through. There was a version of you that had ordinary and visible plans. That version made one decision that led to one more decision. And now, here you are at a window at 11 p.m., listening to a silence that has just changed its quality completely. There is a sound above the compound that has no explanation. Not wind, not an animal, not anything belonging to this night. It is mechanical, low, rhythmic, and coming from directly overhead. It has no lights, and that fact changes everything immediately. 0 lights on something large and mechanical above your compound tonight. Your body understands what this means before your mind gives permission. Your legs are moving down the corridor before you decide to move. The body knows what the mind is still refusing to calculate. Khalid is supposed to be on watch in the eastern room. You call his name once in a voice just above nothing. He does not answer, and that silence tells you everything already. You can feel the rotor vibration moving through the floor beneath you. Then, the eastern wall of the compound simply ceases to exist. Not an explosion in any way you have ever imagined before. More like the wall made a decision and stopped being solid. And through the gap, the men are already moving inside. These are not men who have come here to look around. They have rehearsed this exact building in complete and total darkness. They know the location of every door before they touch it. They move without shouting, and that silence is the most terrifying thing. Chaos you can survive because chaos makes mistakes and leaves openings. These men are not chaos, and they are not making mistakes. You press into the narrow alcove beside the storage room door, the one that breaks the line of sight from the corridor. You found it during a slow night in your 2nd year. You pressed yourself into it then as a game, as practice. Tonight it is not a game, and practice has become real. 2 of them pass the alcove moving fast toward the stairs. You are 38 years old, and you are not breathing. Your hands are shaking flat against the cold wall behind you. From somewhere behind you there is a sound that ends fast. You know what that sound is without looking and without confirming. Khalid was 24 years old and had a sister in Lahore. He will not be talking about her or anything else tonight. The boots on the stairs above you sound like a verdict. Each step upward is 1 second of the most hunted life. You have heard his voice through walls 20 times in total, a voice that turned commercial aircraft into deliberate instruments of killing, a voice that started a decade of war across broken countries. That voice is on the floor above you right now, and the men with no lights have just reached that floor. One sound comes down through the ceiling, and it is short. The kind of sound that ends a sentence started in 2001. After that sound, the compound changes in a way beyond description. Something massive and present and invisible is simply no longer present. You feel its absence the way you feel a sound stop. The boots are coming back down the stairs, and they are heavier. Something is being carried down that was not carried going up. They pass the alcove, and one of them stops without warning. Your lungs stop, and your vision narrows to a single point. A tactical light finds the alcove and finds your face inside. A voice speaks in English and then repeats itself in Urdu. Your hands go up before any thought finishes forming inside you. Not because a man with a weapon ordered you to comply. Because raising them is the first honest act in 5 years. Because the thing you came here to protect is gone upstairs. He secures your wrists and moves you to the courtyard corner. He says stay once, and then he does not look back. The helicopters rise, one clean and one trailing smoke from the wall. No lights on either of them, and they vanish in 40 seconds. The most significant covert operation in history just ended in your courtyard. The compound is silent in a way that has no comparison. Not silence before something happens, but silence after everything has happened. Every light in the main building is burning with no explanation. The vegetable garden along the south wall is completely undisturbed tonight. Someone tended those plants this morning not knowing it was their last. Abbottabad is still asleep and still has absolutely no idea. 5 years of your one life spent inside these 18-foot walls. 5 years of silence and money and questions you refused to ask. You answered the question of who he was on day 3. And then you locked that answer in a room inside yourself. That room is open now, and everything inside it is visible. That is the most honest courtroom a person will ever sit inside. The knife in your left boot has been there for 3 years. The blade finds the plastic ties, and they give way cleanly. You stand up and look at the lit building and walk away. The gate is standing open because they left through it like guests. They came through the wall and left through the proper gate. That detail will stay with you longer than almost anything else tonight. The same street light that buzzed every night for 5 years is buzzing. You step through the gate and the ground feels immediately different. You have no bag, no weapon, no plan beyond the next steps. Habit saved you tonight in ways that training alone could never manage. You walk away from the gate and do not look back once. The chai stall on the corner has been open since before you arrived. The old man pours your tea before you ask for anything. The tea is too sweet, and it is the best thing ever. Your hands are still trembling, and the warmth helps them settle slowly. When you put money down, he pushes exactly half of it back. A man who charges only what things cost is a rare man. The bus smells like diesel and old fabric and ordinary journeys. You find the window seat at the back and close your eyes. This is the sound of someone who is still alive tonight. Not everyone inside that compound gets to hear this particular sound. The man ahead of you makes a sharp, involuntary sound at 1:40. He turns to the woman beside him and shows her his phone. Her hand rises slowly to her mouth and stays there. Then phone after phone lights up across the dark and quiet bus. The radio anchor is saying words he has saved for 10 years. You keep your eyes closed and do not reach for any phone. You already know what those phones are telling everyone else right now. You know what the compound smelled like when the wall came apart. You know what 40 seconds of held breath feels like in an alcove. You know the weight of silence after a very short final sound. The documentaries will get the facts right and the feeling completely wrong. No film will ever show a man in an alcove counting breaths. The sky at the eastern edge is turning pink and means dawn. You are still alive, and the road is carrying you forward. The call to prayer begins from a minaret visible through the glass. You hear it now as something that continues when everything else stops. As something that was here before the compound and will outlast everything. You are the last person off the bus at the small station. The morning air is cool and smells like something green and close. A man with a thermos raises it toward you, and you nod. Behind you, 2 hours back, the compound has all its lights on. The cameras will be there within the hour, and the world follows. They will photograph the walls and the gate and the garden undisturbed. But the story of the alcove belongs only to you and nobody else. You take the first step off the platform onto the road ahead. That is how a person moves when the destination is not visible. The town is waking up and doesn't know your name. You are a man who stood inside the last hour of a decade and walked out through the gate when the gate was finally open. The last hour is over, and whatever comes next belongs to you.